This is from Bob Botfeld. I met Cynthia 34 years ago, shortly after Michael Dukakis lost the 1988 presidential election. I understand and measure time and my friendship with Cynthia in 4-year presidential cycles. I think she would too, since we were so proud of our presidential storefronts, which combined politics, neighbors, and the community, all of which Cynthia loved. In 1990, I became the president of Three Parks Independent Democrats. Then Three Parks was a smaller club. The president meetings, he or she arranged for speakers, bound the very complicated petitions, chair-led the petitioning, oversaw the endorsement and club elections, and even edited and wrote parts of the newsletter. By tradition, the club president was expected to serve for 2 years. I was elected in February of 1990, and by March of 1990, I knew my primary and urgent task was to get someone else to replace me. Not in 2 years, but for the next year. Cynthia was new, but she was thoughtful, competent, and willing and able to do anything. So I immediately started on my devious plan to get her to take over the next year, probably telling her some lies about how little she would have to do. I thought I was, so clever in convincing this quiet woman to take over, a role I thought that might be contrary to her nature. Well, Cynthia absolutely flourished. She loved the role and the club prospered. What made her so special and unique was that she loved being in the center of things all the time and talking about what she knew and having an audience. But she equally, if not more, enjoyed just being part of it, whether it was a precinct meeting, the club meeting, neighborhood block associations, or every 4 years going to the Democratic National Convention. She liked telling me about the people in our neighborhood and the characters at the Board of Elections. But it was not gossip, not with Cynthia. It was her way of explaining or unraveling, thinking out loud. She was thinking through the problems of how to work with the tangle of personalities, political connections, and allegiances that the Board of Elections was known for. And that could be said, kept it from operating at peak efficiency. And Cynthia had to and did somehow keep it all working. And as you know, the big changes of the early voting laws and the absentee voting, which were expanded, were done very well. Cynthia Doty's presence, her showing up each time, every meeting, political or neighborhood, always with a thought, always with a bit of news, gave our club, our neighborhood, our community, a feeling that we mattered because it mattered to her. But more than the energy, as much as she loved getting up and being the center of things, was the generosity and the commitment for always doing what was best for what she thought was best. When Cynthia lost her city council primary, her second election for public office, most of us thought she would stop her ever-present attendance at community board meetings, precinct council, the historical association, and of course, the never-ending political work. But not only did she not stop, from that moment on, every time I saw the Energizer Bunny on television, I thought of Cynthia. I know she kept on going because she really cared about the neighborhood, her community. She wanted to be elected, but more than that, she wanted to be in it and making a difference. And her work was both valuable to all of us and made more powerful by her generosity of spirit. As others have said, Cynthia always knew who to call on any issue and quick to name a name and phone number to get what our community needed. In 2006, when the city wanted to rezone our neighborhood that would have overwhelmed this neighborhood with huge towers, changing it forever, we knew we wanted to stop it. But we also knew that it should not be seen as a political issue rather than a neighborhood one. So without a second thought, that the fight could not be identified with either of us as district leaders, we formed Westsiders for Responsible Development. It took less than a second for Cynthia to agree with that decision, and she had that unique ability to love the spotlight, but to give it up when it was needed. Cynthia, while never shy, was willingly, adeptly, strategically put others in the community first. And for that, and for constant presence, which is now lost, I will miss Cynthia Doty very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob Bodfeld, for those words, and thank you, Lynn Thomas, for reading them. We're now going to hear from Teresa Cantor, Membership Director of 3 Parks.
Thank you. Wow, what a great crowd. Thank you all for being here. In addition to the electeds who have already spoken, I would like to acknowledge a couple that electeds that are here tonight. Linda Rosenthal, State Assembly in the 67th. Inez Dickens was also here, State Assembly in the 70th. Thank you. Scott Stringer is here, former controller. State Senator Robert Jackson. District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Borough President Mark Levine. State Senator Cordell Clare. And State Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel. And City Council Sean Abreu. I also know a lot of folks from the Board of Elections are here, and I'm really happy about that. And also, the acting deputy chief clerk, as Keith Wright mentioned, Rhonda Evans is here. Well, Cynthia, as the 3 Parks Dems district leader, as the Manhattan deputy chief clerk of the Board of Elections, and her involvement in various community organizations, has inspired many people to participate in the political process, to get involved in the community, to get out and vote. She made an impact on so many lives in so many ways. I know she did mine. Not only were Cynthia and I neighbors for 10 years on West 103rd Street, starting in 1990, but she was also a political influence and mentor as my district leader. And we were cohorts at the Board of Elections, as she encouraged me to become a trainer, a poll worker trainer in 2013. A job that has been very rewarding for me. But most of all, we were friends for more than 30 years. I have treasured memories of working on many club campaigns together, including, of course, 2 of our own campaign elections. One of the highlights was when we went to the 2004 Democratic Convention in Boston. Bob Bodfeld was also there, and so was Dan Cohen. That was an amazing, amazing time for me. Fun-filled, exhausting, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, one that I'll never forget. But our activities weren't all political. Cynthia and I developed a love for flamenco and would attend the annual festival at City Center. We even took flamenco dancing lessons. I bet you didn't know that. We were not very good, but at least we tried. We also enjoyed Irish music and step dancing, and would regularly attend performances at Symphony Space. And for years, we didn't miss a neighborhood yard sale as we tried to declutter our apartments. Not always successfully. I can't quite believe she's gone, but I will carry her in my heart and in my mind as we continue her legacy, to follow her lead in matters of social justice, continue the fight for affordable housing, support candidates with ability and integrity, and to do our part to ensure we have fair, impartial, and accessible elections for everyone, for all. We are all better for having known her, and her memory will continue to guide and inspire me as I move forward with my commitments to 3 Parks Independent Democrats and also to our beloved community on the Upper West Side. Thank you, Cynthia, for all that you have done.
Thank you, Teresa. We're now going to hear from Judy Wood, former district leader for 3 Parks. Josh. Sure.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just looking at this crowd for the first time because I was sitting in the front, and this is a fabulous crowd. You know, Cynthia would have loved to be here. That we know. First, my sincerest sympathies to the family, some of whom I've met over the years, and glad to see you. So, because this was a kind of quiet election year, Cynthia was going to take a little vacation and come to visit me in Wellfleet this summer and walk around the yard and look at the birds, and I cannot tell you how sad I am about that. But I have to tell you about her Wellfleet connection, because in the town there's a plaque on the rock with names of some of the people who first landed there, and one of them is Edward Doty. Oh yes. And Cynthia was very pleased about that. We would talk about that, and she gave me this wonderful booklet, Family History, and apparently there always was an Edward Doty in the family. He's here tonight. I just also want to say all of the above, everything that everybody has already said. I am not going to repeat all of that, it's late. But she was fabulous, and she was always there, and you could always count on her. And when I took over to become district leader, when she went to work for our beloved Ed Sullivan, and he was beloved, she taught me what I needed to know, and she helped me through it. And I served for 10 years as district leader of a club that I was there when it was founded, in Milivoje Samorovich's apartment at 890 West End Avenue. I don't remember how many years, 40-something? Right. Okay, 50 years. Well, that's the building I live in, so it was very convenient. I'd just go down to the 6th floor and go to the meetings. It was great. And so there we've been together all these years in our club. Now, Cynthia was a loyal Democrat, capital D from the get-go, and that was a wonderful thing about her. I feel the same way. And she tried to go to every convention, including that one that you all went to. That was, you know, one of the most important activities she could think of. And when it was in New York City, well, that was the best. The Board of Elections is a better place because Cynthia worked there. And she will certainly be missed, sorely missed at that board, which has pulled itself together and really has been doing a fabulous job. I have done some work at the polls in this neighborhood, and when I was district leader, there were those mornings when I had to be there at 5:45 a.m., those long election days. This was before early voting, so that was it. It was election day, and everything had to happen. Those were tough days. And then, of course, the absolute worst day we ever had, the primary, which was on September 11th. And Bob and I were running the elections that day. We're in the schoolhouse, in the school gym, and people coming in and starting to tell us some terrible story. And then we had to drive around to all our poll sites and shut down the election that day. And that was just, that was awful. Absolutely. I'm just looking at my notes. I can't remember a thing. I'm so sad that this day has come, that this is happening. I will miss her. She was always there. I could always get in touch with her. Any questions, or we do it together, or we go to a whole bunch of various things that we get invited to. First she, then I, district leader, invitations to all kinds of events around the city. We went to meet, for some reason, people from the Swedish embassy. It was very, very interesting. I have a picture of that still on my phone. I can't remember why, but it was terrific. And the other thing, she would tell me about the shore. We'd go down to the shore, and the family, and she would say to me, we didn't call it the shore, we called it the chore, because every time we got there, they gave us all these jobs to do. So I thought, well, when she comes to visit me, I'm going to have a list of chores for her. Every time I think about it, I just feel like this was, of course, not supposed to happen. She was supposed to come to visit me, and we were going to spend some time walking around, looking at the birds, and going to the beach, and just hanging out together. And I will miss her. I know we will all miss her. I say farewell, my friend.
Thank you, Judy. And now we're going to hear from Mary Ann Marks, who's a board member of 3 Parks.
My name is Mary Ann Marks, and I knew Cynthia before the Carrie campaign, and after that, she asked me to join the 3 Parks board. I really got to know Cynthia when she ran for city council, because we would be all around the district early in the morning till late at night, meeting with people, and then going into the schools about the crowded classroom, and so many people had problems about housing. The campaign volunteers worked at Cynthia's house sometime, and one time she was late, and she called me and asked me, told me where the key would be so everybody could get in. And then Cynthia, so I worked with Cynthia all those years. We was registering people to vote. We was signing petition. In February, Cynthia would ask me, would get a ticket so we could go to the Schomburg to the annual concert. Cynthia was just such a great person to know. Cynthia took in, she was taken too soon, but anyway, she always, the 3 Parks, if they had a problem, Cynthia would be the one that would straighten it out. If I had a question, I could always call her and she had the answer. At the June meeting, Cynthia and I talked about going to the Schaumburg this February. Cynthia was that was the last conversation I had with her. I feel so truly blessed to have known Cynthia. Her life was taken too soon, and I asked God to let her soul rest in peace. And I asked God to give every member of her family and all her friends that extra strength and faith to get through this. Everybody get home safe. God bless.
Thank you, Marianne. We're now going to hear Amazing Grace, sung by Bella Harris.
I That was just extraordinary, Bella. Thank you so, so much. Cynthia, did you hear that? I want to thank you again so much for coming today, showing your love.
It is my great pleasure to announce the establishment of the Cynthia Louise Doty Community Service Award, created by 3 Parks Independent Democrats, to recognize neighborhood groups that have served and benefited the local community. It will be presented at our annual benefit in the spring, and please stay tuned for our newsletters and e-blasts to give you the time of date. And I also want to thank Dan for being such a wonderful master of ceremony. And I'm going to leave it to him to give us some concluding words.
That was truly remarkable, Bella. Thank you. Today's service was a collective effort of a cast of thousands, but I in particular want to acknowledge Lorraine Zamora, Steve Max, Lynn Max, Danielle Gerard, Chuck Wall, Lynn Thomas, Teresa Canner, and Lois Sathian for their excellent work collaborating together. And in particular, Barbara Lee, who put together a slideshow, some rather remarkable and slightly embarrassing photographs in the back at the reception. I encourage you to watch and enjoy it. There's a guest book. If you didn't have a chance to sign it on your way in, please sign it as you're departing. That concludes our service. Rest in power, Cynthia. Thank you.